IoT data. And to tell us about it, please give a warm welcome to Heiko Mueller.
So, hello everybody, thank you for coming. My name is Heiko and I'm responsible for the Edge and Fog module of our Cisco Kinetic software stack. A true story. Actually, about 3 years ago, my dentist came to me. Actually, while I was lying in his chair, my mouth wide open, he said, Mr. Müller, I have to tell you something. At the weekend, I bought a home automation system. And it's really, really great. Now you can control your heating. It comes even with a smoke detector. And you have to buy this as well. And you know, we guys in Germany, we drive the most efficient cars. But on the other hand, we don't have air conditioning. So we have in our rooms many of these kind of heatings. In some rooms, in the bigger ones, even many of them. So what you have to do at the end of the day, you have to run around, turn them up and turn them down. In the morning, you have to turn them up. And so he said, it's really great. You can timer them with the app, and everything goes automatically. And my dentist also said, you know what, Mr. Müller, I give you an advice. Don't discuss with your wife if you need that. Just buy it. She will love it. And it was so easy for me, even for me, to plug it in. I just connected it to the Wi-Fi. I removed these manual controllers against the automatic one, and it worked. So I went to, actually I love these kind of gadgets. So I went to a shop, bought this kind of starter package, mounted these devices, and typically in these kind of cases, my wife is smiling at me a little bit, yeah. But then in the morning, already when she wanted to shower, the bathroom was already warm. In the evening, no one had to run around anymore to turn down all these heatings in our house. And then I figured out another use case, since I started now with this kind of little IoT project. Actually, something what drives me crazy. My family, especially in the winter, my family opens the windows wide open, and then it never turns down the heating. So the heating goes full speed, power is full powering, and all the heating goes out of the window. So I bought another device, connected it to my home automation system, very simple with the app. So you open the window, so the heating goes down, you close the window again, and the heating goes up again to the previous state. So step by step, I added more and more devices. And right before I flew to Barcelona, I checked how many devices I'm using now. And I'm using 71 devices of 6 or 7 vendors in my little house. And this was possible because the IoT system was very open. They added devices step by step. They allowed adding devices from multiple vendors. And so what I gained at the end of the day, my family got a lot of convenience. We got even security and more control. Since, for example, the smoke detector would even send me a signal if my house is burning. And then I can switch on a camera and check if my house is really burning. So I gain control. And on the end, I also save some money because we don't waste the energy anymore, and the heating goes down. So, and I think the requirements of industrial IoT are very similar. And that's why I speak today about Cisco's IoT strategy. So we talk today a bit about our strategy, and then also about our 2 product stacks, Cisco Kinetic, Cisco Jasper, and have a smart look into smart cities. So we at Cisco built a comprehensive IoT strategy, which allows you to collect data from any device endpoint and move it to the place where it needs to be. So these kind of applications typically run on the edge, on-premise, like in a data center, or in the cloud, or in multiple cases, also in combination of these. So our strategy is extract data from any kind of device, compute it on the edge as much as needed, move it securely to the cloud or wherever you want to have it to be. And we are applying strict policies and make sure that you get the right application in the cloud gets the right data. So let's have a look at our 4 building blocks. Have you ever heard that Cisco does networks? So we are the world leader in network technology, and we have a significant portfolio of network technology which does IoT. But we are also leading in security. And this is important since your IoT devices will add a lot of risk to your IT infrastructure. So we think that security is a real differentiator for us. Then we have Cisco Jasper, which is all about cellular networks. And on top of everything, we have the Cisco Kinetic as an IoT data fabric. So the core of our IoT software strategy consists of 2 pillars. This is Cisco Kinetic for OT and IT networks, Jasper for cellular networks. We have about 1,000 people working on these 2 software suites. They are managed in one group by Rias Rhein. And our headquarters is in San Jose in California, where we design and develop a significant part of the software, but also on multiple other locations all around the world. And as you have figured out, one of these locations is Germany, where I'm responsible for the Edge and Fog module, which we entirely develop in Germany. So let's deep dive into Cisco Kinetic. I already mentioned that Cisco can provide and secure your entire network. But we not only want to connect everything, we wanted to make it easy for you to get the data, to access the data you need, and bring it to the place where you want it to be. And one of the toughest problems of IoT in the IoT industry is collecting the data from any kind of different devices and machines. So in order to collect the data, compute it, and move it, we added another layer on top of the network. The beauty of this layer is that it's simplistic, it's extendable, it's highly scalable, and it's very open. And this layer, Cisco Kinetic, runs on any hardware, but you gain a lot of advantages if you run it together with Cisco hardware. So for example, zero-touch deployment. So Cisco Kinetic and Cisco hardware is simply better together. So in many cases, the data is already there. And here you see examples of my data, which I will lose in a moment. So it's there, but it's hard to access. And examples are machines on the factory floors, cameras, robots, but even cars are sending tons of data out already today. Did you know that? Without adding any device, they are sending this kind of information out. So in order to give you an idea of what we do on the edge to collect all this kind of data, in order to give you an idea about our architecture on the edge, where we have a very strong solution, which is very important, for example, like manufacturing, oil and gas, but also many more other use cases. Let's have some fun. Imagine for a moment that you are a Cisco networking device. Maybe you are an IA4K switch. Is it okay for you? Do you feel like an IA4K switch? Yeah? The forks here on the edge maybe are some edge computing unit from Cisco, including myself. And do we have someone in the middle who make a lot of sport, are strong and fast? Yeah, there could be maybe someone like a Cisco UCS server. So since you all are Cisco networking devices now, do you feel this computing power in the room? Since you are Cisco networking devices, we can install basically 2 parts of software on your device using our IOX technology. So one is a broker, is a message broker, this one component. This allows you to get data and move it to any of your neighbors, no matter how far he is away. The second one is what we call a link. A link is basically, in technical terms, it's a microservice. And the task for a link is to grab data. This is a primarily task of a link. So basically my arm, I have my broker running in me, my arm is a link now, and I try to capture data. In addition to that, the link can also transform the data if you want it. So I'm able now to capture this kind of data. But now you will say, wait, it's not so easy to cap my data because my machines talk all kinds of difficult languages and protocols like OPC UA, Profinet, MQTT, and so on. That's why we developed many of these kinds of links. We are working already for multiple years on this topic and have many available. Many of them are open source, and if any link is missing, we have SDKs, and you can develop a link yourself or ask your service provider to develop one for yourself. So let's imagine now I'm fully operating on the edge, I'm collecting data, maybe multiple sensor data readings in a second. And so what other applications typically do, they would use this data and simply throw it on the bus and hope that someone is catching it. This adds a lot of burden on the network. And we have a better and more sufficient way. So what we do is we collect this data very quickly from our edge computing device. Then already on the edge, we can have a look at this data, filter out the data what we don't need, then look at the data, then we probably normalize it, and then you send just the data what you really need to exactly the one through a well-defined path who requested it. For example, there's our product management. They requested the data, and it's there. So only this way we are able to display data in real time from hundreds of oil rigs which sit in the ocean and are connected with a poor cellular network. And with poor, I mean really poor, not what we have on our mobile devices today. Only this way you can display data from these oil rigs in real time, for example, in a data center in Dallas. So this gives you an idea about our Edge and Fog solution. But Cisco Kinetic comes with 3 of these kind of modules. So we talked about the Edge and Fog module, but we have also our gateway management module. The gateway management module's responsibility is rapid zero-touch deployment for edge computing units. So with this tool, you are able to deploy the device and monitor and track it from the cloud. You can provision it there, and you can manage the entire life cycle of your edge computing device via the GMM management module. Then our third module, and actually both the gateway management module and our third module, the data control module, run in the cloud. The data control module is basically the traffic cop in the cloud, which routes the data in a secure way by providing policy to the right application. We can do this in our own cloud, but we also can hand over the data to third-party clouds like Microsoft Azure, for example. So the core task of our Cisco Kinetic platform is to extract the data, compute the data, and move the data in a secure way. I'd like to give you an example of the distributed edge. Imagine you have maybe a fleet of 1,000 trucks and you want to get sensor data of these trucks, or hundreds of shops where you need to have sensor data from devices in these shops. So what you would have to do is now is on each of these trucks or in each of these shops, you mount one of our, let's say, 8 or 9 devices. You switch it on, the device connects automatically to the cloud after it's switched on via a cellular network or via a normal network, if you want that. Then in the cloud, it can be provisioned, it can be configured, you can even push software to it, and it can be monitored. And this is a great use case where all of these 3 Kinetic modules come into play. Then once it's up and running, the Edge and Fog module starts getting data and sends it to the cloud. There, the data control module makes sure that the data gets to the right application. If you get Cisco Kinetic, you have access to all 3 modules. But based on your own use case, you can dial up the licenses of each of the modules. But you also can extend the platform with industry-specific solutions. We have a strong focus on 5 industries, on cities, manufacturing, energy, transportation, and retail. And our core belief is that only with an open platform, only with industry-specific solutions on an open platform, you gain the sweet spot that you have a low TCO, you get quickly to results, but still have the flexibility to adjust the solution to your needs, and not vice versa. You don't want to adjust your business to the need of an application. So we have chosen a strong industry approach, since we know that the problems in manufacturing are very different to the one in transportation and energy. And we see a lot of traction in the meantime, not only in manufacturing, for example, but also in transportation, where it's less about fleet management. But we are seeing globally that people all around the world use IoT in order to make highways and streets safer. And we are working on solutions together with them. So we have bundled everything together what you need from the platform, from the networking, from the solutions, but you even can extend it with further of Cisco solutions like our collaboration platform Spark or our camera solutions, connected safety and security. Let's have a look at the industry-specific solutions. One of the one of the toughest problems is getting started. So in order to, we really know that IoT projects are quite hard to get started. So what you typically would do is that you set up a small team. They gather requirements together for multiple months. Then you would probably add a consultant, spend a lot of money. You would work out a solution and an architecture. And then eventually the solution gets deployed. This is a long and risky process. And this is one of the reasons why many of IoT projects never get started or even fail. And we at Cisco, we understand the complexity of IoT projects. And we want to make it easy and less riskier for you to get started. That's why we created the starter solutions. In the starter solutions, we bundled everything together what you need to get started. So they come with a very defined scope. You get sensors, you get an edge computing unit, you get the software, you get the visualization you need, and we even added a service package. Despite the fact that the starter solution needs just little configuration, we want to make sure that you get up and running at the latest within 2 or 3 weeks, in many cases already in a couple of days. So, starter solutions are not a proof of concept, and they are not throwaway software. They are designed to be extended, and we really can help you to go from small to big. And we have a strong focus on these 5 industries, so starter solutions for all 5 industries are available. As an example, our equipment health monitoring solutions. So this starter solutions comes with a set of sensors, actually 5 vibration sensors and 5 temperature sensors. You get the Cisco Edge Computing Unit, you get the software, and also the visualization you need. And then you can get up and running, and this solution enables you to track your equipment in real time. And since our Edge and Fog module comes with a state-of-the-art, high-speed historian database, you can store all the sensor readings in real time, make them available, and for any normal BI tool like Click or Tableau, and you can even do further analysis on top of that. So starter solutions cost about 50k euros. And if you consider to start with an IoT project, we really would like to encourage you to look at our starter solutions. So here there are, again, these 5 industries. We have many starter solutions already available today, and we are continuously extending these lists here. So, from starter solution to another use case. This is one of our big rollouts actually in Europe. So this is in Harbor in Europe, actually not so far away from here. And the port asked us to track the water level, the current, the visibility, salinity, and the wind. And why are we doing this? Because of the readings of these sensors, the port authorities can make good decisions how much they can load the ships. And in order to give you an understanding how important it is, a single inch which you can over time load a ship more, since we are in Europe, 2.54 centimeters, it gives the cargo shipping company 5 million more revenue per year. That's the value of IoT. So let's switch gears and talk about Jasper. Jasper is a very successful acquisition by Cisco, and Jasper is all about cellular networks. So Jasper manages your connected devices and its data streams. So Jasper is automated connectivity management for all your cellular devices. As an example, one of Jasper's premium services is connected cars. And Jasper is very strong in this area. So for example, Tesla uses Jasper for their premium services in a car. But not only Jasper, also many other car vendors, including the German ones, use Jasper in their cars. So what is this about? Consumers consume services in a car. They listen to audiobooks, they listen to Spotify, or they want to have real-time traffic information in a car. So Jasper, actually my German heart is a little bit bleeding if I talk all the time about Tesla. But Tesla is able, with Jasper, to segment all this kind of data. And then it can monetize the data and in order to negotiate better rates with the service providers. So with Jasper, you can control your costs, you can avoid overusage, and you even can detect fraud. And Jasper makes sure that your service is available in every region, and you can even automatically switch to the best rate of your service providers in each region. So about 14,000 enterprises use Jasper today. Jasper manages 60 million devices and uses 50 operator groups, since Jasper operates on a truly global reach. And since we are in Spain, let's have a look. You find here the Telefonica, actually over Africa. And in Germany, we would probably use O2, which is here somewhere over the Atlantic Ocean. So Jasper can do all this, and it really can do this on a single car level. So even when a single SIM car is not working, you can immediately figure out if it's not provisioned, if it's not connected, or if it's probably a hardware problem. So Jasper Control Center in the cloud comes with a robust and rich set of functionality, but you also can extend it with many premium services. And we are continuously adding more of these kind of services. So one of our solutions which uses Jasper are smart cities and or uses Kinetic and Jasper. So this is smart cities. We were just ranked as #1. Actually, right here in Barcelona a couple of weeks ago, we were ranked as #1 by an independent research, Navigant Research, for our smart city solution. So smart cities comes with everything a mayor or a city manager needs in order to manage lighting, parking, urban mobility, environment control, or safety and security. So Cisco was ranked as #1 because of strategy and execution. Since we operate globally, we continuously innovate and add features to our horizontal platform. So here are some examples of cities which using the smart city solutions. You find here cities from Hong Kong up to Dortmund, which is actually not so far away, where we develop our Edge and Fog solution. So in a nutshell, Cisco Kinetic for OT and IT networks, Cisco Jasper for cellular networks. In addition to all the software I was talking about, you know that Cisco is a world leader in network technology. We are extending this leadership, and we have IoT networking hardware available for every IoT application already available today. So Cisco is one of the very few vendors who can provide you with the entire chain, from hardware to software, from the edge to the cloud, in a secure way on an open platform. Thank you.
Made a mess up here, huh? Guys, that's going to end our session. A very warm thank you for that great presentation. And
how can mobility transform your business? People sharing, employees collaborating, trailblazers innovating. To do that, you need to secure your users everywhere. Why? Phishing scams, compromised credentials, mistyped URLs. One wrong click, and you're exposed. iOS is the most secure mobile platform out there, but users are your weakest link. You just can't take that risk, unless you're protected. Unless Cisco solved it. Meet Cisco Security Connector for iOS, bringing you the deepest visibility and unmatched control. Protecting users everywhere, from the internet, other people, even themselves. Finally, your employees are securely sharing, collaborating, and innovating. Now you can transform your business securely. Cisco Security Connector, accelerating mobile transformation.
Repairing products can make the world a better place. Every year, the world's population generates a massive 50 million tons of electronic waste. That's over 50 times the weight of the Golden Gate Bridge. How is Cisco helping reduce all this waste? We're making an enormous difference by repairing and reusing products and contributing to the circular economy. Even the best-made products encounter problems during their life cycle. When they do, some companies toss them aside. We don't think that's a great idea. We'd rather fix them. That's why our products go to global repair sites where they're tested, repaired, and sent back out for reuse. Products can be repaired and reused multiple times, and that saves us $400 million annually. When they can no longer be repaired, we recycle them at a Cisco-approved facility. Cisco delivers over 1 million repaired parts each year throughout the world. This is good for the environment, and it ensures we have the right parts available for our customers at the right place and at the right time. By contributing to the circular economy, Cisco Services is helping lead the way in promoting a sustainable future.
Technology never sleeps, and your IT staff needs to be able to solve problems around the clock. Cisco Technical Knowledge Library empowers users with access to collective expert knowledge from Cisco architects and engineers that is accessible anywhere, anytime, with any device. This service empowers your staff to eliminate errors while designing, deploying, and when transitioning to a variety of new technology with new capabilities and resources. One of the most popular features is access to the Cisco Press digital collection, which includes over 400 titles. In addition to that, your team will have access to a number of exclusive technical resources, including deployment and implementation guides, technical tips, videos on demand, weekly webinars, and much more. The Cisco Technical Knowledge Library gives your IT staff unlimited access to proprietary content for Cisco solutions and technologies 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Accelerate time to competency, improve self-sufficiency, reduce common errors, and learn about successful deployment of Cisco solutions. Contact your Cisco representative today and sign up for Cisco TKL.
Welcome to the future of education. Here at Cisco, we've pioneered technologies that enable students to learn and collaborate on any device, anywhere, anytime. We're also opening up a world of opportunity by securely connecting students, experts, and peers globally. So what about educators and researchers? Well, they're getting a digital upgrade too. Now, they can collaborate, innovate, and research with others through a secure platform, regardless of their location. And the digital transformation doesn't stop there. From connected vehicles to digitized facilities management, we're completely reimagining today's campuses. Cisco also keeps students and their data safe and secure. The future of education is here, and it's possible with Cisco and our ecosystem of partners. So, what are you waiting for? Let us transform your school or university with a comprehensive digital strategy built on our education platform. It really is that simple.
Welcome to the world of Cisco DNA, or Digital Network Architecture, at the heart of healthcare innovation. Cisco DNA revolutionizes how you design, build, and manage your networks. Software-driven and supported by the cloud, Cisco DNA for healthcare means faster, flexible deployment and simpler network management through automation and virtualization to get you up and running in days instead of months. Cisco DNA leads to deeper network insights to help you innovate faster, to personalize experiences for your patients and members, and to simplify operations and workflows for your staff and clinicians. Cisco DNA means security everywhere for comprehensive threat protection from your organization to the cloud. Cisco DNA, the speed, flexibility, and protection you need at the heart of healthcare innovation.
All right, welcome back to the Cisco TV broadcast studio. Coming at you live here in Barcelona, World of Solutions show floor here at Cisco Live 2018. Wow, hard to believe that we are already into our final segment of the show. A ridiculous week, it's been amazing. Lauren, Rob, I'm so glad that the three of us are together. We don't get to do this, sit down, just kind of chat together about all this. I hardly know what to say.
The best part.
that part of it?
Too. Our last segment, really.
Our last segment together.
Yeah,
it is.
But we just come out of the Innovation Showcase. I do want to kind of get right on to that. It's the last Innovation Showcase running here at the show, unlocking the value of IoT data. Before we play and have a little good time with each other, I want to talk about this idea. How do we get the most out of the data that's being created by these countless millions of devices connected to the network? How do we pull together data from all of these disparate areas? How to manage things from data that's living at the edge or living in fog or data center or private cloud or public cloud or what have you. What have you guys been hearing as you walk around the world of solutions with regards to IoT? What's exciting you guys here this week?
Well, so I actually interviewed a couple of guys earlier, and what's really interesting to me is the way we're working with our ecosystem partners in this IoT area. Because Cisco obviously can't do it all. We can't manufacture all of the edge devices, the IoT devices, but what we can do is work with our partners so that we're providing the best networks, the best wired and wireless networks, and then providing the tools, or at least some of the tools, to allow us to not only gather the data, but to parse through it and make it actual actionable information, right?
Absolutely,
so.
Yeah.
We'll get into some of the details here. I think in some of the videos that I recorded a younger version of myself within the last few days. But I think the thing that comes out too is, we always hear about IoT, either about what it's accomplishing or what it's going to do, or how everybody's scared because there are devices they don't control and people who have nothing to do with the network are adding things onto the network. And I think this really gives us the ability to showcase the value add that Cisco brings, because we are the highway in that. I know we're not used to the term as much anymore, but we're plumbing to a certain extent, that connects everything.
John always said, no, we can't use plumbing, right?
But John's not here, and Chuck hasn't told me that yet. Not me anyway. But it's but the idea is we can do things in a much more secure manner. We can segment from that into where it doesn't matter as much if you have a compromised device on the end, because you've architected the network correctly. You're not going to like me saying architected, I bet. No. For some reason, you're okay with that one?
Yeah,
just the prim versus premises?
Well, it's just a matter of proper English, I think. That's really
sound
what
right to me, that's why.
But architected sounds like an interesting term, right? We've been talking about it a ton of times. This is what I've been hearing. It is about architecting, only because I think it is about the stacking of it. We always seem to talk about things in isolation, right? This happens over here, this happens over here, this happens over here, but if you build them out properly, one on top of the other, what else would you call it? Foundational? I don't know.
Yeah, or even, when we talk about security, we talk about layered security, right? So that, as you mentioned, an end device or an edge device or an IoT device, if that is compromised or something, we want different layers of security. The same way, the same way with the network and how that works. We want redundancy. We want different ways of doing things. So I think that's what Cisco really brings to the table.
Architected, that also plays all the way back to what Rowan was talking about in the opening keynote, right? Where he was saying that whatever it is that we build, whatever we create together with our partners, the security has to be at the foundation of the construction from the beginning. It can't be an afterthought, it can't be added later. Isn't that also architecting that security element in from the very beginning so that we know how to troubleshoot right from step one of the development?
But some of the most difficult things when it comes to how you do that has historically been segmentation. It's been because our tools were limited in what we could do, and engineers are forced to deal with real static virtual LANs and things that were very basic and really couldn't go to a granular level that we really need to go now based on how they're operating. But as we now have software-defined access, we look at the network as a fabric. We have the overlay technologies in the analysis. We announced assurance this week to be able to kind of come full circle on analyzing how well we're achieving our policy expectations. Now, it's reasonable to do things because when security has to be thought of really consciously, to get it done, it usually doesn't get done. And so making that extremely simple so that it will be done is crucial.
Let me ask you guys, and I want to ask, Lauren, I want to start with you on this one. How are we really doing on IoT, right? For years we've been talking about it in this combination of real development and this dream, this concept out there where people say, oh, love the idea. Is it really happening and working for us? How do you think we're doing? And then Rob, I want to ask you the same question.
I think it's like anything else in IT, right? It starts with the idea, it starts conceptually, and I'm talking over the loudspeaker.
I've loved her from the first minute of the show. I'm glad she's with us all the way to the area.
It's a full circle. But anything with IT, it starts with, it's more theoretical, it's more conceptual, and in the echo chamber that a lot of us live in, we think that it's here and now, even though someone that doesn't live, let's say, in Silicon Valley or in London or in one of these headquarter places, they're not even thinking about it. So I think it always takes several years, and the conferences and the vendors are the ones that start the conversation a lot of times. So there's always an evolution, and that's how it's going to be. I do think IoT is picking up. I think there are a lot of actual use cases rather than just, funsies, like let's talk about drones or let's talk about whatever.
Conceptual, practical versus conceptual.
Exactly, and not to, look at what Amazon's doing with shipping and things like that. So I think there's a lot of actual use cases there now.
Are you seeing the same thing, Rob, from your perspective?
Well, I completely agree with Lauren in terms of the echo chamber, because it's something we have to fight internally at Cisco constantly, which is we start enjoying the sound of our own voices so much on what we're talking about. At the same time, the caveat I would throw in with that is that I think IoT is one of those things that sneaks up on us, and so it's something that the world for the last, and really been accelerating over the last 5 to 10 years for this space, has been that historically IT and how you armed employees and mobility was the first one to sneak up on us like this, where you go, we used to arm employees and access to the network was given to you. You had, we'll give you the device, we'll give you the computer, when that happened. And so IT had a level of control when it came from them. Then it snuck up on us, this idea of bring your own device, and thankfully we're not having to repeat that term all the time nowadays, because that was another part of our little echo chamber. But what happened is it kind of almost snuck up on us to where security and things are suddenly ever present, we're kind of fighting it from the other side. So I do think there's a little bit of a call to action for companies to look at ways in which they can still be in control of the things that they can control, because IoT represents a loss of control in certain areas, and we want to make sure that we remain, from an enterprise perspective, we're a B2B company, that we are on top of this and we're expecting it. And if you do plug something in, you're still enabling the productivity of your workforce, you're not stopping them from getting things done. At the same time, you're not sacrificing your policy in the process.
It's an interesting way to put it. It's a combination of excitement and fear really working in tandem with one another. It's which comes first, the cart or the horse. We're going to throw this out very quickly to a video. Rob, you recorded this talking about intent-based networking, which we've been talking about all this week across the extended enterprise. Let's check out the VT. We're going to be back with all of you on the flip side of that VT. Here we go right now.
Hey guys, we're here with Richard Mullen and IoT and Industrial Engineering, understanding kind of some of the unique things that we were doing in this space each year. You guys are out here, but each year you add just a little more capability. Well, your capabilities keep growing and you keep getting better. And so I'm curious, because there's a lot of different stuff that needs to be aggregated here. Can you walk us through what you've got?
Yeah, absolutely. So 2 things that we're really talking about in this particular demo. The first thing is about this idea of IT-OT convergence. And it's the idea that you have IT policies that are set, but then implemented on the OT side of the house. And that's what we're really showing right here. We have 2 topology rings, one Profi, one Ethernet IP behind me. And we use this tool, the Industrial Network Director, that takes a policy down from IT, so set in IT about how we're going to provision these switches, but we have a different interface than maybe you've accustomed to see on some of the other broadcasts this week from Cisco Live. Here we're just provisioning all our switches, so QoS and traffic, packet, how we're going to run the packets here. And then this switch is talking in this case to an HMI or a PLC, or in this case a Siemens drive. So we've got interoperability with our switch, and it's now provisioned down to this level, and we're able to basically run that traffic and then run it back up through the network. So again, a very easy tool for OT operators, for people that are running their plants, and able to basically run this communication network. All right, now let's talk about the second thing that we really added onto this, which is security. Right, we've got these PLCs are vulnerable to attacks. We've had a number of cases both in Europe and the United States where malware, ransomware has gotten into a PLC and it can corrupt that, take down the line. And that was previously a big barrier to bringing IP down to the plant floor. If we start opening up our systems, they could be hacked. What they're finding is actually any of these types of systems are vulnerable to attack. So what have we done to ameliorate that? Now we're looking at the traffic between the switch, and in this case the PLC, and we've got that segmented by these different segmentation tags. Right? We now combine our Industrial Network Director tool with both ICE and StealthWatch to take a look at what's going on from a traffic perspective. So from StealthWatch, we look at these segments and we look at packet flow, so because we can investigate packet flow between the PLC and the switch. And if we start to see packets pooling, we know that there's an anomaly going on, so we have anomaly detection, and we know that we'd start to look for ransomware in these PLCs and then begin to isolate it. Second thing we do is with identity. So we have vendors, we have people coming onto your plant floor, and they've got software that they need to update these systems. Okay? So they come on in, they tunnel into the factory network. Well, what we want to do is, in this case, we got our vendor coming in via AnyConnect, right? So we'll build a secure tunnel, come through our firewall right here, and then we'll identify them using the Identity Services Engine. So now we can absolutely limit the entire plant floor as to what this remote vendor can see. In this case, segment 777, just talking to this PLC. So keep now being able to block off that plant network every time that we've got a vendor or even a worker trying to access that.
So let me ask you, is it a common situation with industrial networks that have been around a long time, well before digitization was ever becoming a thing? There's so much investment, and are there people who run these networks that think, I can't digitize because I've got too much existing investment, and you're going to want to make me rip it all out?
Right, I think that's absolutely right. You have a lot of these PLCs that have been running for 30 years, and we're not looking to disrupt that market. What we're looking to do is integrate with that market.
Nice.
So that's where this is really a conversion point from these legacy systems into IP. This is where IP is getting all the way from the network all the way down to the edge. And how can we work with that? And we'll talk about this in our next demo. Perfect. On being able to pull data out of these systems, because it's really around exposing data, but in a safe and secure way, managed in the network. So we have that ability of bringing all the power that we have in a full network stack in this solution.
All right, Richard, thank you so much. Guys, come check out IoT Threat Defense.
It's easy to find us with the big wall.
The big wall.
Yeah.
There's several big walls, lots of big information on them as well. Come check it out, see if you can catch Richard before we all head back at the end of the conference. Hey guys, we're here in the, well, I was kind of calling it the IoT booth, but specifically
really
talking
IoT
about...
Industry District is where to find us, right here on the floor.
Perfect. Richard Mullen is here. So, you've got factory networks. We tend to think of these as being old, staid, they run to a certain extent, and we can't modernize them unless we're going to rip and replace, but you're saying we don't have to rip and replace.
No, this is really a greenfield, or pardon me, a brownfield opportunity for Cisco where we're able to integrate into that. That's what we have built on kind of our simulated factory wall. I'm going to walk through a number of different points here. Please come on by and take a look at it. It's got a lot to see. So first thing you'll notice is our Cisco switches. So these would be essentially Catalyst switches, but what we've done is we've ruggedized them, and we also can run IOX, or operating system, on the switch. It also has a flash drive where you can just automatically place in exactly some of the configurations that you've got on the switch. So we can run IOX, we can run Cisco Kinetic, I'll talk about that in a second. Microservices, so other small applications like SAS, for example, that you can run directly on the switch. Those integrate into, for example, PLC. So we have both a Rockwell and a Siemens PLC work together going into this switch. So we interoperate with all different types of PLC manufacturers. This is all about getting data out of the factory floor, because that data is right now trapped in these PLCs in the process level switches that we have, and that automation network. The data's trapped in there, and what we hear from customers is, help me liberate that. I can use that to optimize not just my plant floor operations, but my machines, my workforce. More data I have, the more that I can put it to work for me, and that's what we're doing here. We also have taken energy monitoring, so looking at power consumption for machinery. In this case, our partner Panduit with these lick and stick sensors for vibration and fluid levels make it very easy to get instrumentation on like a motor or pump where you never would have been able to see what was going on under the skin. Now you just put one of these on, tie it into a gateway, and then connect it back to our switch. We're then converting all of this into IP. That's the key element that we're doing here. Right, so what we have is we're showing, this is the data layer, so we're showing how we can manage all these switches. This tool over here, the Industrial Network Director, takes the IT policy that you would have done in an SD Access Fabric, for example, and it's an OT tool that grafts that onto these switches. We then fuse that with Cisco Kinetic. That's the data layer that's coming off of all of these switches. So now what we can do is, just look up on my wall, I've got 5 different inputs of data. These 2 PLC drives,
my energy monitoring, my lick and stick sensors, stuff coming out of machines. I can now normalize all of that data, all these different silos, break that down, build a very massive data lake. And now I can provide the manufacturer different combinations of data that they can analyze. That's what I'm looking at here. I've taken vibration data from my Panduit sensors, and I'm just doing a very simple historical dashboard. We can also port it over to the UCS, and then take it northbound out to a cloud application. So for example, in Microsoft Azure or in Google Analytics, you could be running your SAP, your SaaS application, your Oracle application in the cloud, now taking a much greater version of data. And again, all of this is agnostic, both at the switch level as well as at the data level. So Rob, that's what we've got going on here.
So this is interesting because I think, obviously we start to liberate these silos because I think better decisions come from better data, but you can't get access to the data. It doesn't do any good to continue to upgrade in the silos. So it's nice that we don't have to rip everything out to do it. I think we're going to continue to hear a lot more about fog, which is a kind of a Cisco framework, is kind of describe it.
Exactly. It's
much more legitimization in the industry now with that.
Yeah, with fog really working at the complete edge of the network. I mean, we're right here on the plant floor, so what can we write as applications right here that can tie directly into what they're connected to and then run those microservices right at the edge?
Because a lot of times you want to do localized processing using fog and not waste trips up to the cloud, which may not make sense from a latency perspective or just a cost perspective.
Exactly, when you're looking at all that backhaul, because these kick out a terabyte of data a day.
Yeah.
So what we're looking for are just those key elements that I want to start sending northbound.
I don't know if you guys had intended this, but I know fog, from a weatherman perspective, is actually somewhat akin to a cloud on the ground.
Exactly.
And so you think you've got your cloud here, fog is that same data processing and things happening there, but closer to the endpoint.
Exactly.
And so I see the nice relationship there as well. It doesn't stand for anything, I don't believe. The FOGs, for once, it's not.
Yes, we haven't. We don't have an acronym. We just got an analogy.
Exactly, just an analogy. So come by here, learn what these things mean, understand how they can work in your environment, and enjoy the show. Richard, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rob.
All right, so there you have it directly from Rob Boyd's mouth. Fog is cloud on the ground. Did I get that right? Fog?
Hey, you did listen.
Cloud on the ground. Well, I listen to everything that you say, you know that.
The last 10 seconds, and then you just repeat that.
I'm telling you, there is really nothing like having a conversation, sit down with Richard Mullen, because if you want energy and you want enthusiasm and excitement about what's happening now and what's coming next, 2 words for you, Richard Mullen.
Well, you notice, I don't know, so this is, when we go do these remotes, and you guys go through this all the time as well, there's always a decision to be made as we go work with someone. And Richard's been doing this with all of us for years, but I was like, thank gosh it's Richard, because they have all this physical stuff to show. And I was, and I'm like, how's this going to work with the interview? Because we have one camera that we're doing this on. I know we're going to do pickup shots, but it's going to be hard for the editor to figure out how to follow, because obviously we just did that this morning, because I only had this shirt on for one day. And but Richard's good enough to carry it. So you notice, I would start it, and then I backed way off. And then, we allowed him to talk directly to the camera. We don't usually let anyone do that, but he can pull it off really well. He doesn't.
He's pure energy. I mean, he always has been. If you want somebody who's got incredible enthusiasm, and we look for these people within Cisco, it's not just a matter of talking about your product and knowing what your product does. If you can actually tell a story about that capability.
A lot of people can tell the story, but whether they're just regurgitating the story they heard from somewhere else,
can they feel it?
They're gurus. I mean, they and I think they take it very, very seriously. They want to tell the story, and what do they always say about that? It's the circle of it's a circle of trust and the circle of purchase. People don't buy what you sell; they buy why you sell it. They buy how you feel about it. I think that's so much of what we do here at Cisco. We can create great capabilities left and right. We have to tell the right story around them to get people invested in our passion and enthusiasm. Passion's exactly the right word, Lauren.
Yeah, I think so. I think anyone that is, we interview the Cisco champions. We talk to PMs and TMEs and all that, and the best ones truly, their passion just seeps out. And they could be really talking about any product that they like and may not even be caught up on it totally. But if they're passionate about it, then
you're going to see it. You can see it in their eyes. You can hear it in their voice. We're not done yet, though, right? With this entire... No. There's still so much more to talk about.
You going to do this?
We're going to go ahead and we're going to roll to one more video right now. Check this out. We'll see you in a moment.
All right, we're here in the IoT booth with Albert Mitchell, one of those incredibly smart technical marketing engineers who's been telling me about the fact that we need to remember the DNA center and everything that we can do with the network does not stop at the carpeted environment. There's more to it. I think you were referring to it as the extended enterprise. Is that correct?
So we're going to calling it the extended enterprise because we're going outside of the carpeted space, the air-conditioned space, into a variety of use cases that we'll get into here in a second.
Okay, well, give me some examples of what that means and how it's actually applied, because it makes a lot of sense to me.
Okay, because what we're seeing is the facilities guys and the building management guys are bringing in their solutions, BACnet for building management, physical security cameras for outdoor parking lots and outdoor Wi-Fi sometimes, and we want the networking guys to know that you can work with those facilities guys and the building management guys. We have products and solutions that will work in a managed environment with the same tools that you're using today for all of your management needs. So
this was the part that I didn't completely think of, because I think a lot of people, even that aren't in IT, for many different reasons, and don't pay attention to Cisco, but they may be purchasing network cameras.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily putting them on coax anymore. I think people are putting them on IP, but you're saying they're often building distinct networks just for that.
Yeah.
They're not communicating, or they're communicating at the last hour with IT, where they're looking for a handoff, and you're saying there's a very big missed opportunity for savings, and just better control, security, and the whole gamut, right?
I think what we want the IT guys to do is when they get in these conversations with the facilities guys is to say, yes, we can do that. Yes, we can manage that network, right? Go ahead and build it. And we want them, of course, to use the Cisco networking products to facilitate that, because we know that in the end, the OpEx savings for the years that that's going to be deployed are going to be huge over time. So we want them to say yes to those projects.
Okay, so tell me what you've got laid out here.
So what we're trying here is, we have an example of some of our, what we call extended nodes, or well, these are industrialized switching products that would normally go in outdoor areas. And from an enterprise IT perspective, we see most commonly extending the enterprise for outdoor facilities, outdoor Wi-Fi, parking facilities where you're doing physical security camera, or if you're trying to sense if a parking location is open or not. Sometimes you see those green, red dots over parking lots, right? Yeah. That's all being sensed and has all networking behind it. So you see those sort of like parking areas.
I was parking the other day, and the only thing I didn't like is it didn't tell me that some of those spaces were reserved. But I found out they were doing it with a camera, and so one camera along the light grid at the top was because I could go in and search for my license plate to determine where I was parked. Right. I thought, oh, that's just ideal.
That's all connected.
Except I now got to remember my license plate. But other than that, it was awesome.
Exactly. But that's all connected and networked and has to be managed and maintained and have security updates and things like that, right?
But that security garage should be an extension of the exact same network.
It's the exact same
which
network.
means your policies are the same, your installation's the same,
right?
And everything's managed from the get-go without any worrisome about that becoming also a backdoor into the network.
And some of the other use cases that we see where enterprise networking ends up having to take ownership is in warehouses. Where warehouses, there's a lot of safety, a lot of mobility. They're often trying to track where is somebody, where is something. And they're getting quite sophisticated in warehouses with digitized solutions. Yeah. And we have all the products for that. Again, it can be managed with the same tools that they're using today. So warehouse
location tracking,
centers,
sensors, and all that type of thing?
Exactly.
Okay.
So just keep in mind that when you're coming on with these kinds of requirements or projects from facilities guys or sort of outside the normal enterprise space, the answer should be yes. We can do that, right? If we're going with a Cisco network, it'll be no problem for you because it's the same tools, processes.
I gotcha. So we need to remember, those of us who are in the field, also to have those conversations and understand those projects. It might be a missed opportunity, both for the customer and for ourselves, of course. Right. You were going to show something about how this is interacting here in DNA Center.
So this is, I mean, I'm really excited about the DNA Center and the possibilities that it has, because it tells a really good story. And it's working really well also with what we call the extended nodes, which are these devices which are extending outside of the carpeted space. And in this case, in the software-defined access, they are extending outside the fabric. Okay. So these extended nodes will attach directly to the fabric edge ports, Catalyst 9300s, and allow you to have the same policies and intent that you would have on the Catalyst 9300s, which are functioning as edge devices, and as you do on these devices functioning as extensions of the fabric. So the policies, the intent, the security is still all there. Nothing really changes. Auto-provisioned everything, right? So it's
just because we're not under the same ceiling doesn't mean we can't be on the same network.
Just because it's not in an IDF somewhere, it doesn't mean you can't apply those policies.
Were you going to show us something here?
Yeah, sure.
Please, jump right in.
Well, I'm holding the microphone. Let's see if I can do this
Yeah, if you can't do that, I'll hold it otherwise.
Okay, I got it, I think. So I've already taken the time to create a service. So it's all very service-oriented here.
Okay.
So we have a service for what we want to do is we want to deploy outdoor IP security cameras. So I have a virtual network that I've deployed with the IP security cameras, and now I want to assign interfaces where my cameras are plugging in. As you can come down here, when we do host onboarding, you can see all the places where a possible host port could go. So at this point, we're not differentiating between the Catalyst here, the 9300, which is a fabric edge device, with like an IE4010, a 3560CX, which is a compact switch, right, would be sitting on a desktop outside of the wiring closet, a 4000 or a ceiling switch. So at this point, the process and the procedures are all the same. So I'll click on the 4000 here, it brings it up, I get a list of all my interfaces on the 4000, and I would just select this one's open, I'll select it, and I go assign. What type of device am I going to do? It's a camera, so it's not a networking device. And I select my address pool in here, I'm going to select my virtual network. So I could have 20 virtual networks to choose from.
And click, less errors in
exactly.
This
so,
too, yeah.
So for this point, I'm really saying which security or which service.
Yeah.
Again, I got to think in terms of
and
service.
These are
which service?
By people who are familiar with the policies.
Exactly.
So all part of the existing.
The whole DNA Center thing has a whole thing where you define a service, who can talk to it, what the IP addressing is, which security groups are allowed in, which are not allowed in. That's all predefined. Now I'm just coming in here, I'm saying, this port, this service, go. And now I'm not really even thinking about anything else at this point. It's like I'm just assigning services to interfaces, and these cameras just come up, communicating with each other. I have I'm recording it back in my data center, right? That's all being leaked out of the fabric.
Which is nice, because I think normally these networks are put in without a thought to IT at that moment in time, and they aren't thinking about anything else, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
Is there big open holes for issues?
I think the thing for me I'm really excited about is just creating new services and not really having to think about how the routing's being done. I don't have to go in and update routing tables to add a new service throughout my network, and that part is really
SDA.
cool.
Yeah.
And even though we're working on an extended node here, it's fully automated. So I'm just going to press go, and just like I was connecting it to a fabric edge device, I'm connecting it to an extended device. All the automation is still there.
That's perfect. Let's keep it all on the same IP network. Albert, thank you so much. Appreciate your time. So guys, come check this out. Hopefully you can catch Albert in the booth, get all your questions answered. Don't forget about the extended enterprise. They got it all right here.
All righty, thank you very much.
All right, great content. Thank you so much, Rob. This is really great stuff. I mean, what's really just been covered in those last 3 videos, that's an entire show right there when you get right down to it.
What was actually covered in those last 3 videos,
I wasn't paying any
Steve?
attention to it. We already talked about this earlier. I only pay attention to I think I get about 6% on a daily average of how much I'm able to pay attention.
How would you summarize what Albert just covered with that younger version of Rob from this morning?
You did. You kind of looked like a small
I
child,
made you
didn't
quickly
you?
today.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Well, again, in this particular case, what were we talking about? We were talking about, again, additional elements of IoT. In this case, we were talking from the camera standpoint, right? Picking up data.
Look at you, you're not backing down
Talking
from the challenge.
I'm not going to back down.
Talking about DNA
Well,
Center.
really, this was the extended enterprise, which actually is a good point. To a certain extent, the simplicity of all of this is simply about, hey, don't forget that parking garages and facilities and external that may not be carpeted space can be covered by the exact same network, so don't leave those projects to the facilities people who tell IT at the last minute, hey, by the way, I put this whole network up as provided by whatever vendor I happen to be working with. And you're going, no, dude, we could put this on the same thing, keep it easy, save money in the long run. Everybody's a lot better shape.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to put a button on the IoT conversation. We got one more VT that we want to roll to. Lauren was hanging out with Samuel and Luke, and I think this video kind of speaks for itself, you were saying, right?
So.
All right, let's go ahead. Let's roll it out now.
Hi everyone, I'm here with Luke and Samuel, and we're going to be discussing IoT, how we're working with ecosystem partners, and how we're really bringing that all into the intent-based network as well. So I'm here with Luke, Jaguar Networks. Luke, tell us a little bit about what this service offers, what Jaguar Networks does.
So Jaguar Network is a service provider, a transit service provider of trust and a cloud provider in France, and we're extending our business into the IoT environment, so meaning addressing the specific professional segments with their new data requirements and tons of devices that are going to be connected now.
Very cool. Can you tell us a little bit more about the portfolio?
Yeah, sure. So my team is building actually a set of ruggedized products. So we build product based on the Catalyst switching product that we have at Cisco, the ISR that we have, and we are extending those products to ruggedize them to be able to put them in an environment where typically you don't see those kind of products. So where it's dusty, where it's humid, where it's a lot of dust and those kind of environment, right? That's where what we are designing our product for.
So yeah, basically in kind of harder environments.
Exactly.
Where else are we using these products?
Absolutely. The IoT environment we're addressing are in the space where no IP has been before. So we have to really expand that reach, and this is where we need stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would think the sensors being in those places, that's where you need them.
Yeah.
We're talking about extended enterprise. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so what we do is, we have a lot of customers, and Cisco has been a major player in the IT space, right, where we put switches and router in the carpeted space, right, the office building and things like that. But what we find out is a lot of our customers actually have a production engine, and have like manufacturing site or warehouse side, where they need to have connectivity, because they need to connect user on maybe on PC, but also security camera, provide wireless and things like that. So they need to provide this connectivity in an environment where a typical product, we may not last so long. So what we are doing is building those products based on the Catalyst and the other enterprise network product to be able to behave and live in this tough environment. And the key for us, why we call it extended enterprise, is we want to make it look and feel the same way as a regular enterprise product. So the way you manage a Catalyst product, it will be exactly the same way you would manage those ruggedized switches.
Yeah,
okay?
so you mentioned a few challenges there. Yeah. Let's kind of pivot towards that. As a partner, what kind of customer challenges are you seeing in this space?
Well, the challenges are the same. In fact, we are exploring customers within the let's say our customers' organization that are not the same, that are not used to the IP business. So we really have to extend the reach and provide services the same way we're doing in the standard IP world, in the standard transit world, in space where we've never been. So we really need, let's say, the capability to provide some, clean, lean services all over the place. So for that, we really need to be supported in terms of orchestration of this diversity of devices, and of course maintaining it in the security framework that trusted partners are required to deploy. And that's our core business. Deploy that for professional segment, for orchestration, in a security, in a trusted manner.
And as we know, those IoT devices get hit hard when it comes to security too, because a lot of times they're not.
Absolutely.
Secure. How are we helping with this?
Yeah, so for us, what's really important is at Cisco we have launched intent-based networking, right? And we have DNA Center to help us to orchestrate and automate our network. And what we are doing is we are extending DNA Center to be able to support those ruggedized products. So the IT user can define the policy in an intent-driven policy, right? And we can push those policy up to the real extreme edge of the network where the sensors are connected. So that's one aspect of the thing we are doing. And we are also extended that to integrate with ICE, or Identity Service Engine. So the IT people can really define the policy, but the people who operate those kind of more extreme network can very easily apply the policy because they have the context and visibility of what is connected to those kind of equipment.
Yeah, hopefully drag and drop type of security, exactly. Making it really simple.
Exactly, UI-driven kind of interaction.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. What other challenges are we seeing in the IoT space in general?
So I mentioned orchestration, because we are going further than usual. So we need to be automated in many ways. I mentioned security, which is key, because we have to keep the security level they are used to in their standard IT business. Last point will be interoperability, because all these IoT things is about being technology agnostic and being able to provide interoperability between the different service providers. We're part of them, but we have a lot of friends, a lot of ecosystem that we need to, let's say, maintain in this collaboration framework between different IoT networks for one single customer. So let's say my 3 words are orchestration, security, interoperability.
I think those are very important 3 words, right? to sum it up then finally, how are we helping customers onboard these things?
Yeah, so for us, obviously when we talk about IoT, what resonates the most is automation, orchestration obviously, but security as well. So what we are really focusing at Cisco is how do we secure our product and to yet another level, because the trustworthiness of the system when you are deployed at the edge in an environment that is uncontrolled is extremely important. So really that's our top focus, and once again, integration with the main IT tool, DNA Center and ICE, and simplifying that for the end user is really the key of where we are focusing and where we're investing right now.
I love this use case for DNA Center, SD Access, and all of that good stuff, and edge networking. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate you enlightening us on this. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Stay tuned for more Cisco Live.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Great conversation, Samuel Luke, and by the way, this jacket looking very familiar to me all of a sudden. I don't know, the past few minutes.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that talk with the guys. What was really interesting to you that came out of that conversation?
Just the innovation that we're able to do with our ecosystem partners. I mean, I mentioned that earlier. And then, of course, we talk about IoT, we talk about how we can control all of these edge devices. The cool thing, though, is that we can do drag and drop situations with things like SD Access and DNA Center, really secure things in more of a templated way rather than everything's its own unique snowflake.
Very, very cool. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put the wrap on. Great IoT conversation. Thank you guys for being a part, and thanks for the videos out here as well. For all of you tuning in, we are going to take a very, very short break here. Don't go away. We're going to be back in just a moment with what we call sort of our daily wrap-up show. We're going to learn a little bit about social media and what's been happening with social media throughout the day. We're going to recap some of the highlights of the day and the week as well. We're so glad to have you here with us in Barcelona. We'll be back in just a moment.